This is Love Talk with Marty's the love coach, where the truth needs to touch and the heart finds hope. Love Talk with Marty's the love coach, healing in the words, growing as you grow.
Hey my loves, and welcome to another episode of Love Talk with Marty's the Love Coach. I'm so excited that you are here with me today. It is Wednesday. We getting into some letters. So this podcast is a safe space for real conversations. We talk about love. We talk about healing, relationships, self-worth, and life challenges. Every week, I'll be answering listener letters on Wednesdays and doing love lessons with Marty's on Fridays. I will offer encouragement and help you build a healthy relationship, starting with the relationship you have with yourself. So go grab your coffee, your tea, or your favorite drink. Get comfortable. Let's talk love.
Love Talk. Got a journal in your hand, do the work on your own. Page by page, you ain't walking alone. From the ashes of the old, see a brand new you. Trust in the process, letting love come.
All right, Bessie, so can I ask y'all a question? Have you ever looked around one day and realized, I'm doing a whole lot more than everybody else? Maybe it's in your marriage. Maybe it's in your relationship. Maybe it was your friendship. Maybe it was even your family. You started noticing that you're always the one checking in. You're always the one calling. You're always the one making plans. You're always the one paying. You're always the one apologizing. Hell, you're always the one showing up. And then one day, you get tired. Not because you stop loving people, but because you're exhausted from carrying relationships that were supposed to be carried by 2 people, or 3, or 4. And that's what I want to talk about today, because all the letters that came in this week, well, most of the letters that came in this week had one thing in common. Somebody feels like they're giving more than they're getting. So I chose these particular letters because they do have those things in common. So I have one listener, they feel like he's carrying the financial weight in the relationship. I have another listener who wants more ways to connect with me through live videos. I have another listener, they feel invisible in an 8-year friendship. 3 completely different situations, but they all have the same feeling. I don't feel like the effort is equal, is what I'm getting from those letters. And I think that's something we all experience at some point in our life. So one thing I've learned in my personal life is that healthy relationships aren't built on keeping score. They're not about, well, last week I paid, so this week you paid. Or, well, I took care of you 10 times and you did not do this for me once. It's not about keeping score. They're built on partnership, and that's not just relationships. I'm talking about friendships, the relationships you have with your family, marriage, dating, even in your workplace. It's about a partnership. Now, before anybody says, well, Marty's, relationships aren't always 50-50, you're absolutely right. Sometimes they're 70-30. Sometimes they're 80-20. Sometimes your spouse is sick. Sometimes somebody loses their job. Sometimes life just happens. Healthy relationships understand that seasons will change. But here's the difference. Those seasons shouldn't become permanent. Because, see, if one person is always sacrificing, always giving, always pouring, and always showing up, eventually, that cup becomes empty, depleted. And when your cup is empty, resentment starts showing up. So, you know what resentment sounds like? I'm gonna give you some examples. I guess I'll do it. I don't even feel appreciated. They don't even notice. Or something like, I wonder if they would miss me if I stopped. See, resentment really starts with one big moment. It starts with like little disappointments that keep piling up. And before you know it, you're arguing over something as simple as dishes. But it's never really about just the dishes. You're arguing over money, but it's never really about the money. You're arguing because you're feeling unseen for months or maybe years. And that's why I preach so hard that communication is so important. It matters. because people cannot fix what they don't know is broken. Now, let me tell y'all something. One thing I've learned in my own life is that just because you're capable of carrying everything doesn't mean you're supposed to. I think sometimes we become so strong that people get comfortable watching us struggle. They assume, oh, Martise got it. She'll figure it out. She always okay. She's always smiling. But can I tell you something? Strong people get tired too. Strong people need support too. Strong people need somebody to check on them. Sometimes the strongest person in the room is the one silently hoping somebody asks those 3 words, are you okay? And maybe that's you today. Maybe you've become so dependable that nobody realized you're overwhelmed. Maybe you become so giving that people stop saying thank you. Maybe you've become so available that people started taking your presence for granted. Can I lovingly tell you something? Being a good person does not mean you have to carry everybody else's responsibilities. And being loving doesn't mean allowing people to become comfortable with one-sided relationships. Because healthy love, healthy friendships, healthy marriages, healthy family, it requires reciprocity. Let's say that. That simply means both people are contributing. Maybe not equally every single day, but intentionally. And if you're pointing to relationships where you're the only one holding the bucket, today might be the day you ask yourself a hard question. Am I helping this relationship grow? Or am I enabling unhealthy behavior? I've been through so many things in my life. Some things to me have not been. I always downplay my problems or my moments. I always be like, well, I'm going through this, but somebody is going through something so much worse. Although it might be true in some scenarios, right? But my moment is my moment. My sadness is my sadness. And no one should feel like they have to throw their sadness or their moments or their struggles under a table to set yours on top. Y'all know I had to come out the gate with all of this today because this is very personal for me. I've had friendships in the past, relationships with family, so much stuff in the past where I've always been there. And then the moment that I wasn't. I was always a yes person. Like, you call me, it's yes. You need me, it's yes. You need to borrow this, it's yes. Yes, yes, yes. Always been my thing. And then when I needed somebody, I couldn't think of one person to call. I could not. So today's letters are about to open up some conversations. And when I say I couldn't think of one person to call, I have a select few people who I know if I call, they'll be here, right? But they never really leaned on me the way that certain people did, and I still was there. But I do have a circle. I have some friends. I have a friends, a couple friends, and I have brothers and sisters, and I have family that I know if I need them, they'll be there. But, okay, so let's get into these letters in a bit. We're going to talk about money and relationships. We're going to talk about friendships that maybe ran their course. We're going to talk about why I'm finally ready to go live on social media. And most importantly, we're going to talk about knowing your worth without becoming bitter. Because there's a difference. You can have boundaries and still have a good heart. You can protect your peace and still love people. And you can stop over-giving without becoming selfish. So let's get into these love gems before we jump into today's letters. All right, so our first love gem, I want you to know that healthy relationships aren't built on keeping score. They're built on teamwork. The goal isn't to ask who's dating or who's doing more during this dating process. The goal is to ask, how can we support each other better? And not just a dating process, a friendship, but, any type of relationship you may have. How can we support each other better? All right. Also, generosity should be appreciated, not expected. So when kindness becomes an obligation instead of a choice, resentment begins to grow. Your partner should never feel like they're carrying the relationship alone, not emotionally, not financially, not mentally, or physically. A healthy relationship says, we're in this together. All right, love gem number 4. Never allow comfort to replace gratitude. Keep saying thank you. Keep noticing the little things, whether it's just a sticky note on a door or the mirror saying you're beautiful, or whether it's I made you breakfast this morning even though I have a ton of things to do. People should never feel invisible in a relationship. They work to build things, to make things right, set a solid foundation. Partnership isn't about who pays more, it's about whether both people are giving their best. Sometimes your best changes, but your willingness shouldn't. Okay? All right, so let's get into some letters. I always love this part because I just love that everybody is taking the time out to write me. I appreciate that so much. And if you want to stay anonymous, that is an option. Okay, I respect everyone's privacy. I never talk about who sent what to anybody, not even my spouse. All right, so our first letter says, Martise, sometimes I feel like she feels like I should be paying the majority of the bills. We live in Atlanta and it's expensive out here. We both make decent money. I make a little more than she does, but not much. But she wants me to pay all the high bills. That's how it started. And now I'm at the point where I feel like everything should be split equally because she always has money left over and I don't. Jay from Atlanta. That's Jay from Atlanta. First of all, thank you so much for writing in. I get so many letters from women and not as many from men, so I appreciate you for trusting me. Now let me tell you something. You're not the only man who feels this way. I hear this conversation a lot. I see it so much on social media. And I also hear women on the opposite side saying, well, I do everything around the house. I cook, so he should be able to pay the larger part of the bills. So today, let's talk about it. One thing I always tell couples is this: fair doesn't always mean equal, and equal doesn't always mean fair. Now, let me explain that. Let's say one partner loses their job. Does that mean everything still has to be 50-50? I mean, life happens. Sometimes one person carries more during that one season, then later the other person carries more. That's partnership. But here's where I'm going to step on some toes. If both people are working, both people are making good money, both people are benefiting from the home, then both people should be having like an honest conversation about finances. Not assumptions, conversations. Because money isn't just about dollars. Money represents stress, it represents security, money represents sacrifice. And if one person is constantly sacrificing while the other person still has is spending money every month extra, eventually somebody is going to feel taken advantage of. Now, ladies, don't get mad at me. Hear me out. There are absolutely a lot of men out here who enjoy being providers. There are a lot of spouses, let me say, out here who enjoy being providers. There are a lot of spouses who love paying the majority of the bill. There are couples where one spouse stays home with the children, and then there are couples where one person naturally earns significantly more. And that's what both people agree to. Wonderful. That's good. That means you guys had that conversation, you talked about it, this is what we agreed upon. There's nothing wrong with that. But agreement is key, and you can't make a lifelong financial decision based on solid expectations. So my question to you, Jay, is have you talked to her and expressed those feelings? Now, gentlemen, y'all don't get off easy either now. If you agreed to this arrangement from the beginning, you can't suddenly change the rules without having that conversation. Maybe in the beginning you wanted to prove yourself. Maybe you wanted to show you could provide. Maybe you thought in your head like, I got you. But now life has changed. I mean, come on, this economy is crazy. And I know for a fact Atlanta is expensive. Groceries alone is almost a house payment per month. Everything costs more, from gas to groceries to utility bills, everything is more. It's okay to revisit that conversation. That doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you less of a man. That makes you responsible. Revisit that conversation with her. And here's something I think every couple should do. Sit down once a month, no arguing, no blaming, no pointing fingers. Just ask each other, how are we doing financially? What feels fair to both of us? What adjustments do we need to make? Because finances shouldn't become a battle. They should become a plan. Can I say something funny? I'm going to say something funny. I'm not asking. I love y'all though. Some couples know every celebrity's business, like everything, but have no clue where their own money is going. You could tell me who's dating in Hollywood, the Hollywood world. You could tell me everything about these celebrities, but don't know how much y'all spent eating out this month. Come on now. Money isn't sexy to talk about. Unless you're rich and you good and you sitting on but money isn't a sexy subject. It's not. But financial peace sure is. And before I leave this letter, I want to say one last thing to you, Jay. Don't let resentment build silently, because resentment whispers before it screams. If that has been bothering you, talk to her. Don't let it come out in an argument. Don't let it come out when you're frustrated. And not even after somebody swiped their debit card and you see something you don't want to see. Sit down, have an adult conversation, lead with love, lead with honesty, lead with partnership. Because this isn't about winning, it's about making sure both of you guys feel supported. And if she's the right woman, she'll want to hear how you're feeling. Because healthy relationships don't ask what's yours, what's mine. Healthy relationship asks, how do we win together? All right, Jay, thank you so much for writing in, guys. I'm so sorry I spent so much time on that subject, but it was needed. Okay? So our second letter says, girl, why don't you go live on social media so we can ask live questions? First of all, absolutely love this question. Okay? And to be honest, I did try going live on TikTok for a bit. I think I did it twice. And I wanted it to the point where I can stream not just one place live, but multiple places. And I also commented on a friend of mine. They made a post on social media and I comment like, I just want more listeners. And it was like, show your face more. And the answer is yes, lives are actually coming because I'm going to be having some guests on. I told y'all in August, the whole month of August is going to be live guests. Where you guys are going to be able to see my face. I'm actually really excited about it because I love talking to people. I love hearing your stories. I love answering your questions. I love laughing with y'all, even if I'm laughing by myself. I love creating a space where people don't feel judged. The reason I started this podcast is because I wanted something that people could listen to anytime. So like whether you're in a car, jogging, working out, cleaning your house, walking your dog, you could just put in your headset and listen to me. I want these conversations to always be available. That's why my podcast is audio, because it's streaming on all major platforms. Okay, all. Go me. You don't have to catch it live. You can pause it, come back to it, replay it, share it, listen again 6 months from now. But I also understand something. Sometimes you want to ask questions in the moment. Sometimes you want to interact with me. Sometimes you want to laugh with me. Sometimes you want to say, Martise, girl, help me right now in this moment. And trust me, I want to. So yes, lives are coming. I'm planning to go live every week. So we can talk relationships or partnerships or parenting, dating, healing, grief, life, and whatever else you guys may bring to me. We'll laugh, we'll learn, you'll get advice, and we'll grow together. Because one thing I never want this platform to become is me talking at you. I want to talk with you. I want this to feel like we're sitting together in the living room. No judgment, just real conversations. So keep following my social medias because I'll be announcing those dates very soon. Who knows? Maybe your question will be answered live. Thank you for believing in what I'm building. Seriously. Honestly, thank you. Every listener, every letter, every review, every person who shared the podcast, talked about the podcast, quote my podcast. You have no idea how much that means to me. You even sending this question is amazing, and I love you. Thank you. This podcast is going because of people like you, and I appreciate every single one of you guys who are listening, writing, sharing, supporting. Now, I actually have 2 more letters to read, but I am winding down on time, so I'm going to do 1 more letter. Let's get into the last letter. This one, I know somebody is about to text their friend after hearing this because I live in a little city called Sumter, and this person is from Sumter, but they asked to stay anonymous. So that is what it's going to be. I have a friend who is low-key never there for me when I need her. She only calls or comes around when it benefits her. I want to tell her, but I don't want to seem like I'm picking on little things. We've been friends for over 8 years, but I feel like she only shows up for herself. She shows up to birthdays, my birthdays, dressed better than me, and everything we do has to be about her. I want to remain anonymous because this is Sumter, and I don't need drama or people talking. She is very conceited and well known. This was my first time listening to your podcast, and I felt like I needed to write in. This was my first time listening. Okay, so I'm guessing last Wednesday or Friday you listened to me. Well, first of all, welcome to the podcast. I am so excited you're here, and I'm happy that you decided to write. Now, girl, can we all agree that we met somebody like this? I ain't pointing nobody out. Don't text nobody. But we've all met somebody who somehow makes everything about them. You're telling them you're having a bad day. Now they're having a worse day. You buy an outfit, they've got 3. You celebrate your birthday, they somehow become the main character. You tell them your accomplishments, now they've got even bigger accomplishments. And after a while, you start realizing, I'm celebrating you, but who is celebrating me? Now, let me say something that may be hard to hear. Not everybody who's been in your life for a long time is meant to stay there forever. I think sometimes we confuse history with health. Just because you've known somebody for 8 years doesn't automatically mean it's a healthy friendship. Longevity and quality are not the same thing. So listen to that again. Longevity and quality are not the same thing. Just because somebody has been around a long time doesn't mean that they're adding value to your life. It requires support. It requires showing up. Now, does friendships have seasons? Hell yes. Life gets busy. People get married. People have children. People change jobs. People move. That is completely normal. But if somebody is only available when they need something, that's not a season, babes. That's a pattern. And patterns tell stories. And see, here's what I want you to ask yourself. When she calls, how do you feel? Do you feel excited or do you feel drained? Do you feel like you leave the conversations feeling encouraged or exhausted? Do you feel seen or invisible? Because healthy friendships, they should pour into both people, not just one. And here's another thing. Stop making excuses for people who constantly show you exactly who they are. I literally just had this conversation with my daughter, my oldest daughter who just recently graduated. I honestly tell her so much. People show you who they are. Believe them, especially if it's constantly inconsistent. Listen, one missed birthday, okay, life happens. One canceled dinner, okay, life happened. One forgotten phone call, it's life. But when someone repeatedly shows you that they only show up when it's convenient, believe the pattern, not the person. Now, do I think you should throw away 8 years of friendship without a conversation? No. I think mature people do communicate. Maybe she genuinely didn't realize how you were feeling. Sometimes people become so consumed with themselves that they don't even recognize they're hurting someone else. So before you cut the friendship off, have an honest conversation, not an argument, a conversation. Tell her, and I wouldn't even do it through text. I would go to dinner or lunch or brunch, get cute, step out, and tell her, I've been feeling overlooked. I've been feeling like our friendship has become one-sided. I miss feeling connected to you. Then watch what happens. Not just what she says, watch what she does. Because change isn't proven by promises. Like, I promise I'm going to change this. Did her behavior show that? And if she listens, apologizes, make an effort, that's a friendship that's worth working on. But if she dismisses your feelings, make you feel like you're crazy, or laugh, turn herself into some type of victim, or even continue to do the same thing, then you have your answer, boo. Remember, you shouldn't have to beg your friends to be your friends. You shouldn't have to convince people to show up for you, because real friendships, they do not compete. Real friendships doesn't make everything about itself. And here's one last thing. As you grow, your friendships will change. Not because you're better than anyone, but because your peace becomes more valuable than your history. All right, it's okay to love people from a distance. I just want to say that. It is okay to love that 8-year friendship from a distance if you have to. Wish them well, pray for them, cheer them on, but stop expecting them to become the friend they've consistently shown you they're not. Protecting your peace isn't being mean, it's being emotionally healthy. All right, before we close today's episode, well, first, thank you so much for writing in, babes. Thank you so much. Before we close today's episode, let's take a moment to pour back into ourselves. If you're driving, just listen. If you're somewhere quiet, I invite you to repeat these after me. Take a deep breath in and slowly let it out. Let's do that again. Take a deep breath in and slowly let it out. Now repeat after me. I deserve relationships built on mutual love and respect. I am worthy of being appreciated, not just needed. I release one-sided relationships that no longer serve me. I communicate my needs with confidence and honesty. I trust myself to recognize healthy connections. I honor my time, my energy, and my heart. I deserve friendships that celebrate me, not compete with me. I release resentment and replace it with honest communication. I no longer feel guilty for setting healthy boundaries. My feelings matter, my voice matter, and I matter. And let's say my famous 3 together. I am worthy, I am enough, and I deserve healthy love. Smile right now if you can. Just smile, because you feel better. You released it. Healing isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more of who God created you to be. All right, my loves, thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I appreciate every single one of you choosing to spend just 30 minutes of your day with me. Whether you've been listening since episode 1 or today is your first episode, welcome to the Love Talk family. If today's episode encouraged you, change your thinking, or help you in any way, I'd love for you to follow my podcast and share this episode with someone who may need it. Now, word of mouth is one of the biggest ways my podcast can grow. And because of your support, your letters, your love, and your shares, this community is growing so amazingly that I was in the 7% of relationship podcasts. This month, June, I got the email from Apple Podcasts. Thank you. That is huge, okay? Now, continue to submit your letters. Of course, you can remain anonymous. Continue to visit my website, martisalovecoach.com, where you can purchase self-healing journals. In the next week, I have some exciting news. Oh my God, I cannot wait to share it. And you can find a submission link to submit your letters on my website and on every single social media platform. Instagram, Love with Martise, TikTok, and Facebook, Martise the Love Coach. And be on the lookout. Yes, besties. The live sessions are coming, my loves, okay? I cannot wait to spend even more time with y'all. Answer the questions in real time, have our drink together, laugh together, and continue building this amazing community. Now, new episodes of Letters to the Love Coach air every Wednesday, and Love Lessons with Martise drop every Friday. Remember, healing is a journey. Healthy relationships require communication, and real love requires real effort. I love you guys so much. You deserve the love you're looking for. I'm Martise the Love Coach, and I will talk to you soon.
This is Love Talk with Marty's the love coach, where the truth meets the touch and the heart finds hope. Love Talk with Marty's the love coach, healing in the words, growing as you grow. Yeah, yeah. Love Talk. Press play, breathe in, let the wisdom settle in where you've been. Every scar teacher, every tear a guide. Real love starts the moment you stop trying to hide.